Welcome everybody to Living Consciously TV, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. We are also streaming, of course, on YouTube Live, as well as Hangouts, and at ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. I am your host and moderator, and also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media, going on, 12 years. Pretty soon we're going to stop counting all these things. And more than 15,000 shows. I'll let you know when I'm ready to stop counting. And our theme today is the importance of self-love for creating lasting health and vitality. And our guest this evening is Crystalia Marie. Welcome to the show, Crystalia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Good to have you. And then we also have some cast members here, but we have Linda here, Linda Dyer, from a place where the kangaroos just roaming 24/7. Of course, from Australia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you. And I thought about you, Steve, the other day because on the news they showed a kangaroo running down the main street of one of the Sydney suburbs, and I went, "Oh my gosh, Steve would love to know that."
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, they are so darn unique, you know.
Yeah.
You are so privileged to have these kangaroos over there.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I love this theme for this evening. So we are running a little bit short on cast members, but guess what? We have made this commitment that the show will be 5-10 times more powerful. So let's deliver it to the masses, huh? So here we go. So we're talking about the importance of self-love, and there is an important word in there for me. It definitely stands out, the importance of self-love for creating lasting health and vitality. And the important word there for me is creating. I am just at an awe every day these days that I'm just connecting with something that's becoming factual for me, that and real, that I am the creator of my reality. And that I am getting all kinds of evidence all day long that that is so. So let's talk about this self-love thingy, because as far as I'm concerned, it's huge. So, Crystalia, what do you think in terms of self-love? How can people achieve it? Because we make it so difficult when it's really not.
Well, I think one of the biggest keys in my mind is first recognizing that it's okay to love ourselves. I literally at one point found out that I had a belief that God was going to punish me if I loved myself. So I've shared that around the world for a long time now, and it's amazing how many other people realize they have that same belief. So we don't even know it's okay to love ourselves. So I think first, let's just realize it's okay to love ourselves.
Fantastic. And let's get rid of all those beliefs that that are mumbo jumbo and they don't actually serve us anymore.
That's for sure. Yeah, we have so many beliefs that we don't have a clue where they came from, why we act upon them. It's all just part of what we do on autopilot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
socialization process that just continues down the line. I think Joe Dispenza in his book, Evolve Your Brain, he opens the book by saying we are born so pure and so innocent. And then everyone tells us what we can't do. And it's such a pity.
And why we can't do it.
Right.
Why we can't do it. So, you know, to love ourselves just seems like such a far extreme from, you know, what we were given. You know, you can't do that and you can't do that and don't try that, and etc. Rather than encouraging children to go and experiment and feel good about who they are and ask better questions about how they could do things better or how they could do it different and find their uniqueness. And then gradually through that, and that's, otherwise we wouldn't be required. Who'd need a coach if people were walking around with self-love? You know, I look at all the people I'm coaching now, and a lot of men coming forward, a lot of men. And
It's
one of their
about
biggest
time.
problems, was
Yes.
yes, I'm embracing it. It's wonderful. But a lot of it came from, and they're the oldest in the family. There's a whole, you know, it's interesting how you attract a regime of clients that have similar issues, but
Mhm.
the oldest in the family, and made an example of. Dad treated them really rough, you need to be a man, and in order to be a man, you need to step up. And they're kids. One was telling me about 7 years of age, and the things he had to do when he said, "I'm just a kid. I don't know how to do that. I want to play. I've got my Tonka truck, so I want to play." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually am finding myself to falling in love with myself. Do you think that's crazy, Scalia?
Do I think it's crazy? I'm going to say, woohoo, I'm glad you're doing that.
It is so much fun.
Oh,
And what I'm
absolutely.
falling in love with is the larger version of myself. The one that's unlimited and has unlimited possibilities. I am
Right.
falling in love with that one.
Well, good for you. Yay. We should all
Yeah.
clap for that. No, it's really an important piece. And I think if more people would figure out that they need to fall in love with themselves and accept themselves for who and what they are, and as Linda was sharing, go play and do the things that we thought we weren't supposed to ever do. I
Mm.
remember when I was probably 40 when I finally and said, you know what, I'm going to get back on a kid's swing and go swing in the park. So these little tiny toddlers are there watching me get on a swing and swing to my heart's content. And it was so much fun because we forget to play and just really enjoy life and really honor who we are and have fun with it.
Yeah,
So yay,
absolutely.
I'm glad you're falling in love with yourself.
Me too. My entire world has transformed. It's
Hmm.
very
And
interesting.
Steve, how long did that take, though? I think what people need to understand out there, it can be a decision like that,
Right.
and however, all the neurons and dendrites that are in our psychic, in our brain, they've got such entrenched habits in them about what we can't do. And so the best way is to say next, next.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. I want to love me. I want to take responsibility for who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly. Laugh at it. Embrace
There's nothing,
embrace it,
there's nothing ugly. I'm not finding anything ugly. But here's the cool thing.
That's good. I'm glad you're
Not
not.
even when I take my clothes off. Um, so something that's really interesting that I'm realizing, and thank you for saying this, actually, Linda, because I'm realizing that this was available to me, and here are the goosebumps again. This was available to me all my life, and I was waiting for these other people that I fell in love with. My I call it my object of my attention, to have these feelings that I cannot generate for myself. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think we
tend
go
to-
around doing a lot of that, pleasing other people so that they will turn around and tell us that we are validated, that we
And
are
make us feel
somebody.
good. They're gonna make us feel good.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
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 And
I
Most
got
of us
lupus
are look,
doing that.
Yeah. Most of us are looking for external validation all the time, and we're also. I mean, think about it. We get married because that other person loves us. We don't think about loving ourselves first. And if we just started loving ourselves first, we might actually get a relationship that really worked.
and everything in our world is based on, that's, it's like I'm going like, oh my God, I'm figuring this out, and I'm not beating up on myself that I'm just figuring all this out. It's fine, but it's interesting that it took me as long as it took me. And I just want to make sure everybody knows it doesn't have to take this long. This is just my version of it, but and it's my journey. But it doesn't have to take this long. I mean, and I'm speaking to the younger generation. I'm very attracted, to the younger generation because they don't have as much of these beliefs. Matter of fact, they seem to have a repellent already against all these funky beliefs. What's your experience?
I'm not sure I'm convinced that the younger generation all of them are any better than we are at this whole thing. I think we all have our journey. I think I really, what I want to see more is more training so that they get that they are worthy and they are lovable. And I personally think we need to get some more of this coaching and training in the schools before they get brainwashed to believe they're not lovable and they have to get love from external people. Because when I hear of kids today that are cutting themselves and the numbers of suicides and stuff, I'm not sure that there's a lot of self-esteem going on in a lot of those areas either. But Linda, what's your experience? What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the things that's really that I've been taught over the years through my journey and always seeking other people's attention, which is how I got really sick. And I was doing so much, and I'm sure it was to get the attention from others. Being one of many children, we sought attention, and I had so much energy so I could go and create. You know, I could swim a mile a day and hitchhike across the Canadian Rockies and go through Africa. And yes, I had fun, and yes, I did it for me. But I also, when I think about it, you know, you get that accolade when you come back and you think, oh, okay, somebody else thinks I'm special, or you know, you might get an award for this, and you think, oh, okay, if I put myself out. So it's not about, I wasn't learning how to love me. I was learning how to do more activity so somebody else would appreciate me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the whole scenario needs to change where we just focus on who we are. And I think if I look at my son, who's half my age, okay, and the minute I changed, he changed. So I think for the adults out there, the best thing you can do for your children is to love you. And then they get it. They copy. Remember, that's their job. Children growing up copy adult behavior. For the first 7 years of their life, they imprint you. The next 7 years, they copy you. So if you can show them that self-love is part of your everyday, that you feel amazing about you, and okay, if you make a decision that's not totally doable, that's okay. We just say we're winning or we're learning. What did I learn from that? What can I learn as to what not to do next time? There are no failures. So then a child goes, okay, and if we can look at the uniqueness of those children growing up. So my husband might make a comment, tell our son he needs to cut his hair. And I said, but that's his uniqueness. One day he'll just go and cut his hair. It doesn't bother me. You know, that's him. That's who he wants to be. And nothing like that ever fazed me. And he's such a beautiful man.
Did you ask him, why do you want my son to cut his hair? Why?
Because that conservatism in his family. He was raised very wealthily in quite a prime suburb in Sydney, with the biggest caravan and the biggest theatre in his house and the biggest this. But you know what? All that aside, he was down the pub drinking, and his parents didn't even know. He didn't feel
but guess
good
what? I can relate to that, because when I was growing up, I had very long hair, and so what I wanted to say about that is I can guarantee that the reason why he said that is because he wanted to feel good.
Yeah.
And going back to my mother, because she hated me having long hair, and she always wanted me to cut my hair to make her feel good. It's not my job to make my mother feel good. It's her job to make herself feel good.
Right. Yeah, too often we think we have to do the things to make other people feel good, though. That seems to be the way most of us are brought up. I've found, you know, most people just kind of fall into that pattern, and they continue it until they figure out, like you have, it's time to start loving yourself and get out of that pattern, right?
And I don't need anybody to make me feel good. I can just do it and generate it myself.
Right.
So I had this really interesting conversation the other day, because we're talking about younger generation, a 20-year-old, and I'm having more and more conversations like this. I'm finding anywhere I go, I seem to just attract it. So I was at this restaurant, and this guy was kind of a waiter and busboy and it was a small Brazilian restaurant, so he was doing whatever he had to do. And we had this conversation, and because he asked me what I did, and so I told him, and he said, "Well, can you help me with something?" I said, "Well, maybe. I can't really tell you anything you already don't know, but I can maybe help you connect some dots." And so we ended up talking, and what came up in the conversation is that, because what I was driving at is, why is it that there are times when you're not happy and joyful, and how often does that happen? And he said, it happens quite a bit. And I said, do you know, or did you know that you're creating that reality for yourself? So we got deeper into this conversation. And then what came out is that he resents his mother because his mother is keep choosing other men over the kid, and he feels abandoned. And where we ended up in the conversation is, because we're talking about happiness and joy and that we can create it for ourselves, we don't need anybody to do it. And I said, do you realize that all your mother wants is just to be happy and to be joyful? She's not making this personal to you. You are. And all of a sudden, the light bulb went off for this kid, and he said, you know what? I'm going to go call my mom.
Wow.
It was like, holy shit, we did this in like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's what I meant when I said maybe the younger generation is able to kind of get it quicker and just connect the dots and just move on, like what Vinta says. Next, let me call my mom, apologize to her that, I've been making up all this stuff, that she's been choosing other men over me, and that's not the case. I love you, Mom. I don't know what he said, but I'm just suspecting that it was something like that.
Right.
And fantastic. I mean, he just basically transformed his relationship with his mother, and it just took a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's a really big key, though, when you consider that certainly at that age they haven't had the whatever extra years we've all had added to our continued pattern or that groove we've created in the record. So yeah, I guess it could get wiped out a whole lot faster if they get the message, for sure. I think that's the key. That's why I say, we need to get this in schools and get them taught really young, that they don't need to look at outside for that affirmation or confirmation that they're loved and lovable and they're worthy and all of the pieces that, and like that kid, he wasn't abandoned at all. He just believed it in his own mind.
No, he just made all that stuff up because...
Right.
For whatever reason, it seemed to him that that's what it seemed to him that he did not have the power. I feel, and I shared that with him, that he can make himself feel happy and joyful. He doesn't need his mother to do it for him. That's not her job. Her mom, his mom has already done her job. Brought you into this world, helped you grow up. You're 20, dude. Get on with it.
Yes.
It's interesting because I've just been right around Australia doing health talks to celebrate my book launch called Healing Your Immune System. And one of the things that I brought up constantly it didn't matter what state of Australia I was in, was the responsibility that you have for being responsible for who you are. And I kept saying it's a tough gig. However, when you get it, it's the best thing that ever happened, because nobody can make you anything. Nobody can make you happy. Nobody can make you sad. Nobody can make you miserable. Nobody can do anything without your consent. So when you get to this stage of starting to appreciate who you are and being responsible for everything you do in your day, not only is it calming, it's going to give you great health, and that's part of our title today. How does that give you longevity and health? It absolutely does. The whole essence, because you're not storing wasted emotions that are negative in various parts of your body. So when I was running around trying to please everybody, I had irritable bowel, right? Because in the bowel area, that's where we store our fear. And so when fear is not dealt with, that it can create a disease. And, you know,
It
a
goes
lot
to
of
an
97,
organ usually, right?
yeah, 97% of diseases stem from the bowel. So they're fear-based, that whole around the hip area moving forward. And then around the chest area is your sadness and grief, and of course around the head and neck area and down to the heart is anger. So quite often I can talk to a client and say, well, where do you feel that in your body? And they'll absolutely feel the release of whatever that is after the coaching. So what I'm saying is when you become responsible and let go of those issues of whether it's abandonment or you don't like somebody or he did the wrong thing by me, and in fact you're living in the past and bringing it into your now, it's such a load. It's like walking around with a backpack on your back full of rocks. And how on earth can you move forward, and how on earth can you have that vitality because you're loaded up? Once you get this and you start releasing the pebbles and the rocks from the backpack, and eventually you just let go of the whole pack, it is so empowering for you as a person. You've got just great, great health. Yeah? Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny. You talk about the different parts of the body. A lot of people with lower back problems, it's all about being supported, and it's all those emotional feelings of not being supported. It's the same kind of idea you're talking about. I remember a friend one time, and she was like the happiest person, and I couldn't figure it out because she had cancer, and she was about to die. And I'd always understood cancer was a lot about anger, eating away at yourself. And I was like, but she seems like this happy-go-lucky person. And about 3 weeks before she died, it was like the Exorcist. She started spewing this anger everywhere, and I was like, oh my, I wish I'd been able to help her earlier. Maybe she would have lived longer, you know, but she just had so much anger inside of her that she had just buried it and buried. And we don't even realize, we don't understand that we can let all that go. We don't have to live with that, as you call, I like that backpack thing out of all the rocks. I love that. Because it's true. That's what we're doing. We're carrying all those burdens around instead of letting go and getting rid of them, because that's back there. We can't change it.
It just came to me one day, and I just think it's a brilliant analogy. And one of my students made me a backpack. It was so funny. I was doing a talk, and she turned the backpack round, so the zip's now at the bottom, and she filled it full of rocks, but she put paper around each rock. And as I undid the backpack, while I was walking across the stage, all these rocks were falling onto the stage. I'm hysterical, all the audience, but they got it. It was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what it's like, letting go of all the stuff like the abandonment or whatever the emotion is that you're carrying. And guilt's another one. Guilt's always related to the past. Letting go of that, like next, dismiss it so it's not part of your neural network anymore. Right. And then all you need to focus on is what do you want to do moving forward. And you look in the mirror and you say, okay, what are 2 things that I could do that would help me change me? And that's all I did. I started on 2 things every month until I became very good at those 2 things. And you know what? It's not easy. I'm not saying it's totally easy. When I come home and my son's got a dent in the car, you know, I said, and he said, thank you for being so understanding. I said, hey, I'm not understanding yet. I'm still practicing this.
That's a good
But you know what? The next day I woke up, because I didn't react, I woke up and I went, I got it. Thank you, universe. I got this very clear message. He's always late. If he changes that habit, he'll change the habit of having little accidents in the car. And so I put that to him and I said, why don't you go ahead and change that habit, and then we'll look at what happens with the car. And it's so nice. There's no yelling, no screaming. Everyone's feeling good about who they are, and that, you know, you just move on. Next. Problem solved.
So I'm just kind of thinking out loud for a minute, I'm just seeing ourselves right now as, people that are playing really good tennis, and people are watching it and it looks really easy, and then people are going, okay, well, that's easy for them, but for me, I mean, I understand what they're talking about, but for me, I don't have a clue how to get to where these people are. So maybe we can help the viewers a little bit in terms of who mentioned, I think, Crystalia, you mentioned emotions. Because I really truly believe that emotions, and I proved this to myself, that my emotions are really my system that helps me understand how far I am on a scale of this beautiful Steve that I was talking about that I'm in love with, and where am I in the moment? How close am I to that beautiful Steve that has all the potential, and he's loving and he loves himself? How far am I in the moment from that? You know what I mean? And the more of those negative emotions I have, the further I am.
Right. Right.
And I think people experience this all the time. And then when you notice that you are having negative conversation, because I'm paying a lot of attention to this right now. So when I notice that I'm having some negative conversations, what's happening, or I'm perceiving something negatively, how do you change that? What do you do? Like, what's next?
Well, obviously, as you said, now you've recognized it. You've got that first step down. Recognition's the first step, I think, and then the next step is doing something to shift it. So there's a lot of different tools out there. I like to do simple things, and I don't like to. It's people like the rubber band. I don't know, snap the rubber band to shift things. I'm not into hurting myself, so that's not helping. So I like to do things like cancel, and just shift my thinking. But I'll tell you, the best part for me always is to look at it from a different perspective. I literally will take a moment and look at it from someone else's perspective and have a good laugh, because it's amazing how often you could beat yourself up about something, or you can just laugh at it because it's part of the human experience. And for me, laughter seems to be the fastest way for me to shift things, and that's one of the things I tell people to do. If you can learn to just look at it and laugh at it, it's the fastest way. Now, certainly I have tools, and I'm sure, Linda, doing coaching, you have plenty of tools to help people process some of it. Some of it needs more work. But if you can learn to just look at it and laugh at it, that's a good step forward. Linda, what do you think?
Well, as I was saying before, and I think, first of all, making a decision that you want to change, that you want to do something different to where you are now. This is what I was just teaching on my trip. Decide, believe that you can.
How about making a decision that you're going to love yourself 100%?
Yeah, that's right. That you're going to change, and you're not going to hate anybody, including yourself, and that you're going to start to appreciate who you are. So that's a big thing, is making a decision. It's not a wish. It's a decision. It's an irrevocable decision that you want to start appreciating. In other words, there were 5 million tadpoles when you were born, and you were chosen. So what are we doing, getting all caught up? You know, you were born. You're the one that the universe put on this planet to make a go of things. And if we keep focusing on what we can't do, then what are we going to achieve? So when I sort of realized that, I thought, okay, I need to step up. And so I made a decision to step up. And then look in the mirror and look at the positives of you. So the thing you can say to yourself, so what are the good things about me? Are you a good mom? Are you a good dad? Are you a good brother? Do you have a happy streak in you? Are you a good cook? Do you do gardening well? The only reason we don't think that we're good enough is because we compare ourselves to somebody else. And John Demartini quite often talks about this, where, you know, you're comparing yourself to the guy up the road or the lady down the street. Next, just compare yourself to you. Who do you want to be?
It's none of our business what somebody else is doing.
No. And it's none of our business what they think of us. All you need to do is feel good about who you are. And Crystalia made a great comment. Laugh. you know, when I do some silly stuff, I'm hysterical because I think it's really funny. I also laugh at people in the shopping centre because sometimes they revert back to that inner child that didn't get enough resources, etc. And so they act like the child when they're upset with the shopkeeper. And I quite often ask myself, oh my gosh, I wonder how old you are today. You know, if you just, we are very funny people. That's why when I do my lectures, I crack people up because I think we're hilarious. The things that we do, and we want things to change, really. You know, make a decision. Okay, I want to start loving who I am. I want to start loving the big hips, the tall legs, the pudgy waist, or whatever it is. Let's start loving it, and then it'll go because you're not giving it attention anymore. You know, it's really funny. And then when you love who you are, you'll start feeding you differently. You'll start eating different foods, and you won't attract the sort of stuff that you're trying to suppress the emotion with, etc. It changes everything. And then just change 2 activities every month. So as I said, my first 2 were I had to respond to every situation every day. Look, it's a tough gig when you're used to putting the finger up or yelling at somebody. I mean, the traffic in Sydney is just deplorable, like it is in most cities. So, you know, if you can say have a nice day to somebody that just squeezed in front of you, and just stop letting things affect you. Things, you know. Ask better questions.
Well, I'm finding, Linda, see if you can say something to this. I'm finding that people, you know, they've been doing this kind of stuff, whatever it is that they've been doing that makes them feel not good for quite a while. So it's kind of, they're used to it, you know what I mean? And they, to a point where they almost accept it. So how, you know, there has to be some things that they may want to do, or a different way of being, so that they can switch that, because they're going already, there's a momentum that's been building.
Right.
And it's not that easy to say, okay, well, now you're going 100 miles an hour, so now just stop.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Just pick 1 or 2 things, Steve. That's all you want to do to change. So if you are a reactor, then just learn to respond. How can I respond to that? That's the only thing you need to ask yourself. If you're normally yelling at your kids or yelling at your partner or yelling at somebody at work, then just stop. When you go to do that, stop and say, how can I respond to this? The difference between reacting and getting angry and having those emotions up and not is response or react. It's responding.
How can I feel better?
By saying next. Stop, whatever it is you want to do. I just go,
what I do for myself is I just find something that's going to make me feel better. Because I know...
Like a donut?
Yeah, because I know that if I stay in the negative emotion, I know where that's going. It's going, you know, to the next negative emotion, and then to the next. It spirals. But if I can stop it, and I can do something, and sometimes all it is just to appreciate. And you said that very powerful word, Linda, several times. Just appreciate something, either about you or your surroundings or about somebody. If we can just start switching the energy from negative to positive, then we can turn around and go back to this beautiful being that we are.
Yeah,
that
I
we've
think
been running
Wayne
away
Dyer
from all our lives.
Wayne Dyer did that fantastic.
It seems to be that we've got this all backwards.
Wayne Dyer talks about his auntie, and he says there's a whole lot of stuff I don't like about her. And he talked about what he did to make that change. And he said, every time I saw her, I looked really closely at her, and I picked out something that I could comment positively on. And he said, you should have seen both of us change. It was unbelievable. She just changed and he changed. It was just phenomenal. So he said, look for one thing. I've done this with a family member. It really works. Look for the one amazing thing and work with it.
Well, I think, Linda, you also made a good point of picking 2 things and focusing on those things to change. And I think one other thing is what you were saying, Steve, about this whole idea of getting caught up in the emotion. Make a decision that you're going to set a timer if you get caught up in an emotion and say, I'm giving myself 10 minutes or whatever length of time you want to have your hissy fit and do all of that, and then say, I'm done, I'm moving on. But, gradually what I found after a while was that 10 minutes became, now I just
shorter.
okay, I've had my hissy fit. That was 20 seconds. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Or whatever length of time I need for that particular one. But, I had an incident earlier today, and I found myself, as I was going through it, I'm like, in the past you would have really got upset. I was sitting there chuckling at how silly of what all these things I had done. And it's like, I would have in the past probably spent a half a day mad at myself for the silly things I had done. I spilled something and so on. You have to learn to look at it, let yourself be upset. That's a natural emotion. And then decide to shift it. Another thing I find too is really important is find something you absolutely love and do it every day for yourself. Whatever that is, so that you're actually taking time and saying, I'm worth doing whatever this is I love doing. Mm-hmm. And, when I share that with moms, though, I always say, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, then you need to make time. And if that means putting a door hanger on the door because you want to take a hot bath, then do that. Or if that means getting your kids to start doing some of the chores that you've just done because it's easier, then that's what you need to do. Sometimes we have some tough choices, but I see a lot of moms in particular wearing themselves out, trying to do everything and be everything. And the problem with all that is that they are wearing themselves out and they're not going to be able to be there full time for them. Sooner or later, they're going to get sick. They're going to have a problem. And wouldn't it be better to stay healthy and be there for your kids a longer period than it is to end up being sick because you were trying to do everything? So,
But it's detrimental. It's detrimental to the child because the child's not learning to be a cause for their world. So, and mum's not going to move into their next house with them. So, yeah.
That's true. And, so often we think, oh, our way's the only way. I have a story I'll share something I did one time years ago. I got married and I was arguing with my husband about how to fold the towels to put them in the linen closet. We had this huge fight about it. And today I said, if I had a guy now in my life that if he just took the towels out of the dryer and threw them in the closet, I don't care if they're folded, I'd think it was great, But yeah, we actually, you laugh at some of that stuff. We can make things so serious. And moms out there, it's like everything doesn't have to be perfect. Just get the kids going and let them do some of it. And you're right. You're doing a disservice to them if you're not having them do some of that stuff anyway.
Well, but don't you think that the theme is the same? If you think about it, Cristalio, I just wanted to spend a second on it. Why did you want him to fold the towels in a specific way and put it away? Why?
Because mine was the right way, wasn't it?
because it made you feel good, right?
Yes,
there he goes again.
Yeah.
And I just wish when people are watching us, they just go, okay, that's not really that important for other people to make us feel good. The way I am these days about those kind of things, if I get caught with something like that, instead of me making somebody to do something, I mean, how much people like to be told what to do? Zero.
There's your answer.
Zero.
So I do this in restrooms, like when I'm in the corporate environment. When I see that there is water and stuff all over the place, instead of complaining about it, I'll just go clean it up. Mm-hmm. It's done in 10 seconds. It's over.
Right.
Next.
Yep. A lot less energy spent in cleaning it up, isn't it, Steve, than getting upset about it, right?
Yeah, instead of going to somebody and say, well, can you get somebody into the bathroom and cleaning it up?
Right.
Just do it. It's so much easier because what I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm making myself happy.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting dichotomy in all of this that quite often we you know, as I said, when I was lecturing or when I was doing my seminars all around Australia, I'd ask the people who really loves to get up every morning and go off to work and do what they love. And there's so few hands that go up in the audience. And the reason is that we've got this obsession with money, that everything evolves around bringing the money in because that creates our lifestyle, buys our car, buys our food, etc. The funny part about it is that what I've found out through all of this is that when you start to love who you are and do the things you really love, not only does the money come, but there's not so much going out. I don't even belong to a health fund, and our government here is telling us that we have to pay double probably from next year. If we don't join a health fund, then they'll take it out of our taxes and they'll take double out. And I'm thinking that is totally unfair for the people like myself who keep themselves well and spend the money. Yeah, and I can't remember when I last had a cold or anything. You know, I went through that. So it's really interesting because when I was unwell and all the stress of, you know, working for money rather than working for what I love to do and feeling great about who I am, I had health. I had so much money coming in, but I had so much money going out. There were, you know, the chemists and the doctors and the specialists, everyone needed a cut of that income. Whereas now, whatever I earn, I buy complementary products and I eat brilliant food, and that's all that it goes out on. It doesn't go out on other people needing to service me because I feel good about me and who I am and my health. I just thought about that as a scenario that it's a government initiative. Right back in about 70 years ago, they decided to have a GDP in every country, gross domestic product. And they said this should be a short-term thing. Well, many countries around the world still use it. It's all around the money. So we've grown up with our parents around, I can't afford that. You've got to join this medical fund. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. It's around.
And Linda, how does that work in terms of the laws of attraction? We just get more of that, right? Yeah. That we don't have.
Right.
We don't have. And
well, then we go and get a second job too, that, you know, to earn even more money, and consequently, like me, I felt violently ill. It's not, you know, my poor little boy, when he was young, I was going off to so many doctors that he became scared of anybody in a white coat. And so when I decided to go through the naturopaths, I had to ask them, please do not wear a white coat. I'll come to you if you don't wear a white coat. So I can change not only me, but I can change the mindset of my little boy.
Right.
So I just want to challenge all of our viewers right now in terms of this money conversation, because to me this is very interesting what you brought up, Linda, because I want to see if people would be willing to catch themselves what conversations they are having in their head about money and not having money. Because when people pay attention to that, it should become fairly easy to understand and get that most people are talking about, I just don't have enough. There's not enough money going around. And there's all these rich people that have all the money that don't even know what to do with, but I don't have enough. And when we're having those kind of conversation, and it's a habit, right? I mean, it's something that people keep repeating to the point where it becomes a belief.
Right.
Isn't that what repetition is? It's just a belief.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They keep talking about it, and they all of a sudden, eventually, they believe it, that they just never have enough.
Well,
and they just get more of it.
And I love how many people will say, but it is my reality. See, this
is
my reality.
Yes, it is. That's how powerful. That's
like,
how powerful we are.
No kidding. It's like that's the reality you created because you kept believing that.
Yes.
It's like this vicious circle, and a lot of people just don't get it. It's like, yeah, but I'm only talking about what my reality is. And I'm like, yeah, and if you keep talking about it, you'll create more of that, or you could create something new if you choose to, right?
and Linda really said it right on the money, talking about money. Self-love is really the answer, because when we have this 100% self-love, everything that we're supposed to have come to us, it's coming. We don't have to worry about it.
Right. Right.
It is when we don't like us or we hate ourselves for this and that, the other thing, and we hate other people and we have all these other negative emotions, is when we get really, really far away from who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you need to earn more money to pay everybody else to keep you in that state.
And we need to depend on the government for our health care because we're sick. Because we live through stress every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest issues around, you know, we were talking about that on the tour, that stress is the be-all, and everyone does stress differently. Only you do stress. Somebody cannot do stress for you. That's the key. So when you really get this and you decide not to stress, like Christmas time is actually one of the worst times for stress because people want perfection around the present or the lunch or whatever. You know what? For the first time, this is my dream, is to have Christmas on the beach. We have a hot Christmas here. So I've had a dream for many, many years to get away from the tradition, go down to the beach, pull some rugs out all over the lawn, which is right next to the sand, which is right next to the water, next to a playground so the kids are happy, and just lay out all the seafood and stuff and get right away from the traditional baked dinners and all of that. And just whoever wants to come can come. Well, I've attracted 20 people already from the family, and I don't care how it goes. I know whoever shows up, it'll be great. They're asking me what to bring. I don't care. Whatever you want to bring, it'll work out. Whatever time you want to show up, it'll work out. You know, there is no stress. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. And I'm going to cook up a storm or not, you know, or go down to the seafood place. We're blessed with seafood here, of course, and just buy kilos of it and make some stuff. I'm so excited. And everyone's getting caught up in this new thing that Linda's doing for Christmas. It's really exciting. And I'm thrilled that it's coming off.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I love it, you know, doing something
fish
different.
At Christmas, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a new possibility.
The only condition is you have to leave your ego and your emotions at home.
Wow.
I think
those are tall orders.
It is a tall order, but you know, this is that time of year that's so important, like Linda said, you know, to not get so stressed out because it is the most stressful time of the year. And yeah, doing things like what you're doing, Linda, I think that's great because it breaks that whole pattern and it really creates something unique and different for people. And I think that's a big key. It just shows you're breaking patterns. You're actually showing them all how to break a pattern. The whole group's going to learn something out of this. Is the way I see it, because you've gotten them to break a pattern of what they've done traditionally. And I think we all could use that kind of breaking our patterns. That's really what we're talking about here. If you want to love yourself, first thing, break that pattern of not love all the non-loving things you're doing now and all the stressful things.
Yeah, exactly.
And let them go.
To me, I'm sure you noticed this too, is that for some reason, right around Christmas, we can all be loving and appreciative and able to gift other people things, and not just love, but material things. Why is it that we can't do this every day? What's up with that? Every day should be like Christmas.
I agree. Let's make every day Christmas.
I mean, the concept of Christmas. I mean, if we had all really loved ourselves 100%, isn't that what every day would be like?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And we should all be giving ourselves that gift of love every day for sure, you know. So there's the first gift to give for every day, the gift of love for yourself.
And you know what? I think it's one of the beautiful parts about it is that for me, it's that gratitude. You know, I can just see this was a dream of mine to go down the beach and do this, and it just happens that 20 other people want to join me. But it's that's what I'm giving me for Christmas because I feel really good about who I am. I've just worked constantly for the last 6 weeks running right around Australia, giving, and now I've stopped. I'm planning next year already. However, I'm going to give me a dream that I've had for a long time, which is to take Christmas to the beach and just, whoever turns up, whatever you want to bring it. It will work out, and it will be amazing. And to me, that's going to be, I can feel the fun already in that type of non-stressed, nothing's going to be perfect, and that's going to be great.
Gives new meaning to a white Christmas, Linda, so you're having white sand Christmas.
Yeah, we have a white hot Christmas.
Yes.
No kangaroos at the beach, Steve.
So, Steve, let's see. What do you have for a good idea of something new to do for Christmas?
Something new to do for Christmas. Well, I'm already done with all my Christmas shopping, and it's only day 8. So I have already made the commitment to myself that I'm not going through the usual that everybody likes to do, which is leave everything to the last minute and run around crazy, being angry and mad at people. I'm not doing any of it. So
Good.
It's all done. I
Cool.
did it all on the internet on Black Friday and on Monday, and ordered everybody everything that I wanted for them, or I knew that they wanted, and it's done. All that stress is behind me. I don't even have to think about it.
Cool. Yeah, doing things that are unique and different. That's great. Most men I know always wait till the last minute, so congratulations on taking care of you.
But I think for the viewers out there, to do this and to get to a point where you can just feel really good about who you are and know that there's an inner peace, it's just the most amazing place to be. Like when I go to my doctor now, the last time I went, it was 10 years since I'd seen him, and he said, "Thank you for coming back and trusting me." I said, "Oh, don't get too excited, Doc. I'm just looking for needles for Africa." And I said, if you want to do a couple of tests, that's okay. That'll help you. That'll please you, and put a few notes in my book. And, of course, everything was perfect. Why? Because I feel good about who I am. So my health is good. My vitality is good.
Right.
And there's no stress to take my body into a place that's going to need other people to make me feel better, which is our whole hospital system. So it's about, for the people out there, it's just changing one thing. So for me this year, it was just having my dream of what I would like to do for Christmas. It just happened that other people joined. But what is it for you? What is it that you want to do? And it may be that you want to just learn to say next. That's been my biggest helper, is to say next, so that when you go to react. The thing is, when you learn about this from a technical point of view inside your head, that the dendrite or the memory stick that you had in there that enabled you to react every time you saw something you didn't like, it starts to close down. And after a while, you'll be completely out of the habit of reacting. How cool would that be? And then you go on to another habit, because it takes a month to change a habit. So just choose 1 or 2 things a month that you'd like to change. And it may be that you look in the mirror and you say some good things about who you are. That I'm a great person, I'm fun, I'm a great sister, or, I'm a fabulous mum, or, I have a nice smile. Choose some things that you would like to say about you and you've been too scared to, or people have been avoiding for you. And know that everything in your past you think it's your reality. It's only a perception of your reality. And we know that when people stand up at funerals and talk about what it was like to be with that person. Everybody in the family's got a different reality. Well, how can that be when we're in the same house?
Because we have more than 7 billion different worlds running around on this planet, not one, and 7 billion people sharing it.
Right.
That's why you can say next to it all. It was a perception of the way you grew up. Say next, leave it behind, and say, you know what? I'm going to start this calmer, really positive, feeling good about me after Christmas. That would be the best New Year's resolution, if you think about it, that you could ever do for you, is to start saying that how you feel good about you, and I'm going to work on it every single day. The universe will love you for it.
Good one.
Yeah.
So the only thing I want to add to that is these days I'm going to bed in a different way. And the way I'm going to bed is when I lay down on my pillow, I appreciate my pillow. I appreciate it's coming to the vent. And I appreciate it because I know that there are people out there that don't have heat in their home or they're out on the street. You know, I appreciate my bed, nice and soft it is. You know, I appreciate the fact that I'm breathing. And that's how I am falling to sleep. And it's a beautiful experience because when I get up in the morning, I'm noticing that I'm getting up already appreciating everything.
Yep.
It's magical. And guess what? It doesn't cost anything.
No, I love that. I do the same thing, and in fact, I notice that I fall asleep, and I don't remember if I finished all my appreciations.
Me too. I'm just gone.
You know, I used to write them all down. I used to have this habit of journaling them, and I found that I actually prefer to just be falling asleep thinking of them and feeling them, because writing them down, I wasn't feeling them the same way. And I'll tell you, once you really feel how grateful you are for certain things, it just makes a huge difference, I think, as to how you start to feel about your life and about you and all of the, you know, loving yourself more. It's all about loving yourself more, even in that gratitude part.
And in that day, in your day, you've got 24 hours. So when the mums out there or the dads out there say, I don't have time to give me any more time, you've only got 24 hours. Nobody's ever going to give any of us any more. So basically, look at a T-junction and write down the things that you do on one side and the things that on the other side, how many of those achieved your goal. And you'll find that there's quite a bit here you could let go of, because they're actions that you've been doing out of habit that may stress you or may not lead you in where you want to go. I did that. It took me 4 days. Best thing I ever did, and letting go of some of the stuff that I didn't need to do anymore to de-stress who I was. But yeah, just make that decision first of all, and then just change one thing. What is it that you'd like to change? And being grateful for what you already have.
Right on.
Yep.
Well, guess what, folks? We have come to the end of the conscious hour. It flew by, as it always does.
No, it did.
It did. This is great.
And we're grateful.
Yes.
And I really want to appreciate our guest, Crystalia Marie, and also our guest, Linda Dyer, for being here with us this evening and sharing all the beautiful experiences that you are having and stuff that you come across on your journey. I'm just looking forward to nowadays what's coming. I used to be so focused on just being in the present, and I'm somewhat changing that a little bit, because now I am still interested in the present moment, but I'm taking some of that away to what's coming, which is what Linda said. What's next? What's coming? I'm open to what's coming next. Matter of fact, not that I'm even open, I am excited to what universe is going to bring to me next. Surprise me.
I love surprises.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed both of you. This has been a great theme. Again, the importance of self-love for creating lasting health and vitality. And I think we also displayed that we have some of that health and vitality here on the show, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think so. And none of us are spring chickens, right?
Not that I know of.
So there you go. Thank you all. I love you all.
Thank
And
you.
again, I just want to repeat this one more time. This is the last show on the network for this year, and I'm looking forward to a very prosperous, healthy, and awesome 2016. Oh boy. I want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Merry
and
Christmas.
all the
Merry
other languages
Christmas.
we could
Happy
say them in.
holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays, and a very happy new year. So
You
thank you
too,
so much.
Steve.
I love you
You
all, and
too.
we'll see you
Love you
see
too.
you next year.
Love you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.